So,
Okay.
so today I am going to explain you the routing on Palo Alto Firewall. So today we will see the routing on Palo Alto. So first we will see the RIP, then we will see OSPF. We also see static routing, and fourth one is default route. Okay, so these are the main routing which we are going to see. BGP routing I will explain you later. Palo Alto do have support for BGP, but that we will discuss later. Okay, so if you see, and also right now I will configure one default route towards my home Wi-Fi on my Palo Alto firewall to get the internet. Okay, and you know what is default route, right? Sen? So default route is a route which includes all the IP addresses. 0/0/0 0.0.0/0 is known as default route, and we always point this default route towards the next hop or towards the internet gateway from where we want to connect with the internet, because in the internet we are not aware about the IP address for Facebook, Gmail. We only remember the URL, or we can say fully qualified domain name of these particular websites, right? So the thing is, we want to send any kind of data towards these website, that time we need to configure one static default route on the firewall. And also in our machine, when we configure a default gateway means we are adding one default route on the machine. Okay, it's a similar thing. So if this time, if I'll go to into my CMD, and if I run this command route parent, it will give the routing table of my system. So if you see in my system, I'll do have one default route. So this is my default route, all zero, all zero, and this is my gateway. This is the gateway of my home Wi-Fi, 192.168.0.1. So all the machine having default route if they wants to communicate with the internet. So the thing is, let's suppose in your machine you are having these many routes. You are having this route, this route, this route. Okay, let's say you are having only these three routes for 10.1.1.0, 10.1.1.1, and 0.0.0. Now, if your machine wants to send any kind of data to 200 or 1.1.100, that time it will basically just take the default route. It will not consider these routes, right? So that's why we use a default route on the firewalls. So what I will do, let me just let me first explain you the topology. So I have created this kind of topology on my GNS3, where this is my router 1. This router have a connectivity with my Palo Alto Ethernet 1/2 interface, which is my inside interface of my Palo Alto firewall via BMNet 1. This cloud have a connectivity with my Palo Alto DMZ interface. If you see what are the configuration, so see, if when I'll go to into this one, if I'll click on configure, you will see I have added BMNet 1 interface on this cloud, which means this will basically connect me through this particular cloud with the Palo Alto Ethernet 1/2 interface. Same thing here, I have selected BMNet 2. You can just drag and drop and you can select. Okay, so here I have added BMNet 2, both places. Okay, and so this will basically connect me to with the Palo Alto Ethernet 1/2 interface. Okay, and after that, because in Palo Alto inside interface I am using this subnet 10.1.1.0/24. So here I have given 250, means this is the IP address of my Palo Alto interface, and here I will use 10.1.1.10. This is the IP address of my router F0/0 interface. So what I can do, let me just go here and I enable that thing. Okay, so I am able to also see my interfaces. Okay, this is my interfaces, and this is the F0/0. So on F0/0 I will configure this IP address 10.1.1.10. On this interface I will configure 10.1.2.0.10. Here I have introduced one more router, and behind this router I will introduce these networks as well by creating the loopback interfaces. Okay, and after it I will enable the RIP, and we will see like people from this network, they are able to reach till this network or not. These kind of communication we will see on the firewall. So what I can do, let me just start these devices. Okay, so I will just start one by one. They are taking some time. I will start this guy as well. So first I will configure these routers, then I will go to into my firewall. I'll just configure this one. You can also power on all the device in one go. Like when you press this one, all the device will start in one go as well. Okay. Now let me just open the console for this one. So I'll just double click. So I'll got the router 1, then router 2, then router 6, then router 3, router 4, and router 5. Okay. So first I will start with router 1. So I'll just go to into router 1. So today we are only doing the practicals. Okay. Today there is no theory. Totally it will be a practical. I'll just go to into config terminal, and I'll start configuring my interfaces. 0/0. So sorry, interface first Ethernet 0/0. I will run here no shutdown, and I will configure the IP address, which is 10.1.1.10. Net mask is 255.255.255.0. Edit, exit. Now I will configure this interface, which is interface F1/0. IP address is 10.1.2.10, 255.255.255.0. No shutdown. Now I will configure F1/1. IP address is 10.1.3.10. Okay, so I'll just 3.10 and no shutdown. So IP interface brief. You see, I have configured the IP address easily. Okay, if I want to ping, let me just hit the ping to my firewall. See, I am able to reach till my firewall interface. Okay, which means connectivity is fine. Okay, and also let me also configure the routing as well on this firewall. So route IP routing. Okay, or what we can say, route router, then rip, and these are the commands. So first I will configure the version 2. Okay, network is 10.1.1.0, then we have 10.1.2.0, 10.1.3.0, right? And I'll run here no auto summary. So I have enabled the routing as well. Just came out and I'll just save my changes. Now I'll go to into my router 2. Okay, so today is a practical. If I'll go little bit fast, you can just stop me there. Okay, just remind me.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, conf t, and in router 2, what I need to do, I will configure my inter, which is f0/0, no shutdown. IP address is 10.1.2.11, 255.255.255.0, and exit out. Interface, let me add loopback interface. So I will add here loopback 0. IP address is 10.1.4. We can say 11. Okay, I'm using this one, that one, 255.255.255.0. No shutdown. Then loopback 1. Here I will use here 10.1.5.11. No shutdown. We don't need to run no shutdown for loopback interfaces, but I am just running. Okay. Then after we have to 10.1.6.11. Okay, and no shutdown. So IP interface brief. These are the interfaces. So if I'll ping to 10.1.1. And sorry, I'm just try to ping the wrong interface. I just want to ping 10.1.2.10. Okay, to I'm just trying to ping this industry. Ping is working, which means connectivity is fine. Let me now enable the routing. So router rip version 2, no auto summary, network 10.1.2.0, 10.1.3.0, not 3, it's 4.0. Then we have 5.0, then we have 6.0. So router, so IP route, if I'll see run this command, see I am learning these routes 10.1. These are the routes from RIP 10.1.1.0. See this route I am receiving from this network, right? And I will hit the right, ma'am. So I am done with the config on R2. Now I will go to into R6. Okay. After that we will see the OSPF lab. Conf T. I will just configure the first interface, which is fastnet 0/0, and IP address is 10.1.3.11, 255.255.255.0. No shutdown. Exit. Let me add the loopback interfaces. Loopback 0, which is having 10. IP address is 10.1.7.11, 255.255.255.0. Then loopback 1, which is having 8.11. Then loopback 2, which is having 9.11. Okay. So IP interface brief. See, I'm having 10.1.3.11 on this interface. Okay. Let me just open R6, and Loopback 0 have 10.1.7.11. Loopback 1 have 10.1.8.11. So I have added these three networks as well. Okay. Now let me configure the RIP. So router RIP version 2, no auto summary, and I will add here these networks. So 10.1.3.0, 10.1.7.0, then we have 8.0, then we have 9.0. So RIP, so IP RIP, we can say if you run these command database, it will give you the details. So router, so IP route coming from RIP. These are the route you are receiving. So see, if from this R6, if I'll hit the ping to 10.1.4.11, ping will work, because so this connectivity is fine, right? Connectivity this end is fine, right? We can able to ping from this R6. I am able to ping to one subnet here, right? Like 4.11, if I'll ping 5.11, it is working, and 6.11. So our routing protocol is working as expected between this segment. Okay. So now let me just go to into R3, and I'll start configuring this interface. So I'll just go into R3. I'll go into conft interface F0/0, no shutdown, and IP address is 10.2.2.10.255.255.255.0. Then we have interface F1/0, no shutdown, and IP address is 10.2.1.10.255.255.255.0. Then we have interface 1/1, and IP address is 10.2.3.10. Okay. So I'll just modify in 3.10, and I hit the no shut. Now let me also configure the router. So router RIP version 2, network is 10.2.2.0, 10.2.1.0, and 10.2.3.0. I have added all these three networks. Okay. Let me just save my config. Let me see on R6 I have saved my config or not. So I will hit the right mem. Okay, so IP interface brief. See, these are my IP settings. Okay, 10.2.2.10 we have on this interface, 10.2.1.10 we have on this interface, and 10.2.3.10 we have in this interface. Now let's come to our R4. So this is my R4. So we have to go into router 4 and just configure that interface with the IP address, which is 10.2.1.11 and 255.255.255.0. Hit the no set. Let me just try to do ping 10.2.1.10. I'm able to reach till this interface, so that is correct. Now let me enable let me also add the loopback interface. So loopback 0, IP address is 10.2.4.11, 255.255.255.0. Then loopback 1, 10.2.5.11. Then we have loopback 2, where we will use 6.11. Do so IP interface brief. So this is the IP settings. Okay. Now let me just enable the RIP. So router RIP version 2. It will enable the RIP version 2. Then no auto summary. And after that, what we need to do? Network 10.2.1.0, 10.2.4.0, 5.0 and 6.0. So router, so IP route. See, we are receiving this route from the routing table. This for this subnet 10.2.2.0. Okay. Let me hit the right ma'am. And let me also on R3, let me just see. So run section router RIP. What I need to do, because I'll forget to enable the no auto summary here. Router RIP. I'll just forget this command no auto summary. So that's why I'm just okay. Just try to run this command on all the routers where you have enabled the RIP. Okay. R4 on R4 we are done. Now let's come to R5. So let me just configure R5 as well quickly. Quantity interface F0/0 and IP address is 10.2.3.11 255.255.255.0. No shutdown. Exit. Interface loopback 0 and IP address is 10.2.7.11 255.255.255.0. Then loopback 1 having IP address 10.2.8.11. Then we have loopback 2 which is having 10.2.9.11. I'm using these loopback for simulating some extra subnets. Okay. Now router RIP version 2, no auto summary, and the network is 10.2.3.0, 10.2.7.0, then 8.0, then we have 9.0. Then write ma'am. So it will save the configuration. So router, so IP route. So I am receiving these routes. So from this R5, if I want to ping to R4 IP address which is 10.2.4.11, I am able to ping. 5.11, I am able to ping, and now 6.11. So which means if you see here right now, we have configured the routing properly between this and between this, right? They can able to reach, they can able to communicate properly. Okay. Now what I want to show you now, here you just consider this is our firewall. Just consider, okay, the entire segment is your firewall, Palo Alto firewall. Now we will enable the routing between this router and firewall. We will enable the routing between R3 and our firewall. We will enable RIP routing between R1 and firewall and R3 and firewall. And after that, After that, when we enable the routing between these two segments as well, then this R5 can able to ping till these IP address R2 IP address, which is 10.1.4.11. Okay, so I just want that kind of connectivity. So what I can do, let me just log in quickly into my firewall and let me enable the routing. Okay, 192.168.137.110. Quickly I log in into my firewall, which is admin, password is admin at 123. Okay, so I have logged in into my firewall. If I'll go to into my network settings, so I have configured this interface which got with my outside. This is my Ethernet 1 2, which I have configured with BMnet 1, which is my inside interface, and Ethernet 1/3 is my DMZ interface. So what I can do, I'll just go to into my virtual router, because right now we are going to configure the routing. I'll go to inside my VR01. In VR01, right now there is no static routes. Okay, I will add one default route later. So what I can do, I'll just directly go to into RIP. I'll just enable the RIP. This option we generally use reject default route, which means it will just reject the default route. Okay, if he will learn from any RIP protocol, so we will go with that default option. We need to select the interfaces. So I will select here my outs that inside interface. Okay, I will enable. I'll just use this thing normal. Okay, I will add one more interface, which is DMZ interface. These are the mode and all. Okay, so I'll just go with default. This is for authentication if you want to enable authentication, but I will not use any kind of these things. I'll just go okay here. Okay, timers, export, these things I will not able, I don't want to use. I'll just set okay and let me commit my changes. Commit is succeeded. Okay, and meanwhile what I can also log in into my firewall. Type here admin. Okay, so if I'll run this console routing, we can say route. So right now if you see, I can able to see all these routes on my firewall, right? These are the route which I am able to see on my firewall. If you want to see all these routes by using this, you have to click on this more runtime stats. See, you are getting all these routes. You are getting 10.1.1 from RIP, right? Then 10.1.2 then 4 5 you are getting from RIP, and all are active routes, right? So this is the way we will enable the routing, or we will enable the RIP on the firewall. If you go to into your R6, not on R6, sorry, let me just go to into GNS3. If I'll go to into R2, okay, and I'll also go to into my R5. If I'll go into R2, if I hit this source IP route, you will able to see this R2 is receiving these 10.2.7.0, all these routes, right? 10.2.8.0, somewhere 10.2.8.0, 10.2.9.0, right? And if from R2, if you are trying to ping to R5, which is 10.2.7.11, ping is not working. Why? Because this is a inter-zone communication, right? We will not have any security rules. So what I can do, let me add one security rule which will allow all kind of communication, right? I will use here allow all. It will allow all the traffic. I will just go with any zone. Destination zone is also any. I'll just enable action is allow. That's it. I have added this rule just for testing because we want to test our RIP is working or not. We are having proper reachability or not. So I am adding one basic route on the firewall. Okay. So commit is going on. Okay. So commit has been completed. If this time I'll go to into R2 or from R2, if I'll try to ping this, ping is working. Okay. Or if I can also ping L 8.11 or we can say 9.11. See, ping is working. Means we are having proper connectivity. Means we are able to reach from this router to this router, right? Or we can also try from this to this. From let me ping from R2, these are for router IP addresses. Okay. So if I'll go to into R2, if I'll hit a ping 10.2.4.11. Shipping is working. How we can say R2 is receiving the packets? What? Let me enable the debugging. Debug ICMP. Debug IP ICMP. I will enable the debugging on R4, right? And this time if I'll ping from here, see, I can able to see the debug message. Means R4 is receiving the traffic. 5.11. And we can also see send 20 packets if we want by using a repeat count. It will receive a 20 packets. Let me disable the debugging. Okay. So this will prove we are having proper reachability and our RIP is working as expected. Okay. Now what I can do, let me log in, go to into my firewall in network tab in virtual router. I'll go to into RIP. So this is the timers. These are the default settings. So these we don't need to worry about that ones. Okay. Just let me also, I'll select that option later, not now. Okay. If I'll go to into routing settings, so these are the few other settings. Okay. This is for static route RIP. What we can also check here. Oh, this. Okay. So if I'll go to into more runtime stats, okay. This is the routing table. If I'll go to into RIP, This is the summary, like update intervals, expiry intervals, detail intervals. I'll go to interface. These are the IP address of my interfaces which are participating in RIP routing protocol. This is the peer. So this firewall have a one peer bit 10.1.1.10, which is a R1 IP address, and 10.2.2.10, which is a IP address of R3. Means this Palo Alto firewall have a proper peering with these two. Okay, with R1 and R3, he is having RIP peering. Okay, so if you want to see some other details, so let me just go to into my firewall. So routing protocol, just hit here RIP peer. So it will also give you the details like this is the name of your virtual router, this is the peer address of your R1 router, this is the IP address of R2 router. Means we are having peering with two routers. Okay, and we are also using RIP version 2. If you want to see the routing details from here, you can also show routing. Press the question mark, route, hit the enter. So you will get the all the routes, whatever routes you are having on your firewall. Okay, and what we can see, if you can also, if you want to see the summary, so you can run this console routing, use the question mark, then hit here like protocol, then use RIP, then you can see the summary. So it will give you the summary details. And if you want to see the interface details, you can use this command. It will give you which interface has been participated on your RIP. All commands are there. Whatever, if you want to see the database, you can run that command. It will give you the database. Like 10.1 or let me take this 10.1.5.0. It's a metric 3. These are the flag. The next stop for this route is this one, and peer is this one. This is a age like 27 seconds. Okay, and like from firewall also, if you want to ping, you can also able to ping like ping source is 10.1.1.250, and you can ping to these IP address like what is the, let me go to you can ping this 10.1.4.11 from the firewall. Ping will work 10.1.4.11. See, you can able to reach till 4.11 or 5.11. If you want to ping like 10.2.8.11, then you can also do that. Only you need to just use this interface, the other side interface, DMZ1. Okay, if you go to into your R2, not R2, just go into R1. So if you want to see the details on this router, okay, so what you can show IP route, you can use like RIP. It will give you all the RIP routes. If you want to see so routing, so IP route like RIP or what you have here. So routing, let me see. routing command is not there. So these are the commands which generally we use for seeing the details. Okay, so let me see. So IP route, if I can have any command, any other commands. Okay, like summary, we can, if you want to see on the router, you can just hit the summary. It will give you some summary details and all. So protocol, so IP protocol, this will summary. If you can hit this command, it will give you like there is a two, means like we are having RIP enabled. Like hit this command, so IP protocol, it will give you the details. Like routing protocol, we are using here RIP. Okay, and these are the routes for RIP. Okay, so these are the few commands which we use on our firewall to see the details. Okay, so let me see if I can also have any other command. So RIP, so IP RIP, and you can use this command for seeing the database. It will give you the database. Okay, so these are the commands which we use to see the details on the router side. Okay, now what I want to show you, if this router 2 or router 5, if I'll go to into router 2, if router 2 wants to send any data towards the Google IP, which is 8.8.8, or see, ping is not working towards the Google. Or let me also just configure one thing. Okay, IP domain name. Let me just configure the domain name, which is like, this is my bogus domain name, IP DNS. Let me add DNS server as well. So I will add primary server, which is 8.8.8. Enter. So this complete is command is incomplete. DNS. Let me see what we have. Primary. I forget the command to configure DNS on routers. So DNS server. Yeah, IP DNS server. Then maybe this command will work. IP DNS primary and domain name. Let me see. Because I'll just want to enable the lookup. Just give me a second. Let me just do some R&D. Okay. Source interface is F0. IP domain. primary. Because I'll just want to enable the DNS. So if I'll hit that from here, google.com, it can able to ping that google.com. See, right now it is not translating. Okay, no problem. So what I can do, let me go to into R5. If you see the routing table of R5, so IP route, right now you are only having these routes, right? You will not able to see here default route, right? Default route is not there on the routing table. So now what you need to do, but you require a default route, because if this router wants to send data towards google.com or any other website towards the internet, how they will able to send. So for that we need to advertise the default route. Okay, so we can also advertise this default route by from the Palo Alto firewall by using the redistribution. Okay, what we can do, let me just go to into my Palo Alto firewall and let me quickly add one default route towards the outside interface. What I will go to into my virtual router, I'll go to into static, right? So first I will add one default route on my firewall. I'll give the name default route. Okay, destination is all IP address, so 0.0.0/0. Interface, here I will select my outside interface, which is Ethernet 1/1. Next up, is my IP address, and IP address is 192.168.0.1. This is the IP address of my home Wi-Fi. Click on OK. So I have added the default route on my firewall, and now if I'll go to into RIP, I have to go to into this interface, and I need to just select the advertise the default route. Click on OK. I'll go to Ethernet 3, advertise the default route. And let me commit my changes. And on R2, I'll initiate a ping to this one with a repeat count of 100. Let's see. This ping will work. If it not work, then we need to see. So commit is succeeded and ping is not working, right? So what we can do, let me just check if I am receiving the default route or not. So IP route. See, right now I am receiving one default route from the 10.1.1.250, which means I am receiving the default route from my firewall. If I'll go to into my firewall, if I hit this command, so session table, if I'll see the session detail, right now there is one ping is going in from this one. So what? Session ID 101. So right now ping, we have initiated a ping from 10.1.2.11, which is in inside towards 8.8.8. Ping is going on. Okay, and also reply is also coming. But why it is not working? Because right now we are using private IP address, right? And private IP address. So we have not discussed NAT yet. So what? Let me quickly add one pet rule on my firewall. And as soon as I added the pet, this communication will work. So I will explain you this thing, like what is the issue here later. So traffic from inside and traffic from DMZ, if it is going towards the outside, interface is Ethernet 1/1, services any IP address, just translate the packets into dynamic IP and port numbers, translate the interface address, and just configure call use this IP address for patting. We will discuss NAT, okay? So don't worry. That time you will get the proper idea. I am just configuring one pat rule. Just remember this thing. Port address translation on the firewall. As soon as this pat rule will completes, that ping will start work. I'm sure ping should work. See, ping is start working. Pat is completed. So right now I also have a reachability till the internet. I can ping any IP address now. So if I want to check if from this PC, let me just go into my firewall. If from my firewall, if I'll ping host, like we can say www.facebook.com. See, ping is working. So if I'll take this IP address from Facebook, if I'll try to ping from this host, ping will work. See, ping is working to Facebook. Okay, so right now ping will work from your, so the thing is now your entire network, they have a proper connectivity. All these hosts, they can able to reach till the internet through the firewall, right? And you are getting the session as well on your table, on your session table, right? So session all, if you hit this command, right now there is no active session. So if I'll initiate a continuous ping to Facebook IP address from R2, you will able to see the session. See, there is a so many sessions. So if I'll take this session ID, this one, see, traffic coming from this one, going to this IP address, protocol is one, source port, destination port, flow, all these details you will able to see. And this is the rule which is hitting. Right now we have allow all. This is the application which is detected by this particular firewall. Ping is the application, and you will see this is the net rule, means which the pat rule which we have added. This is the pat rule which is hitting. This is your ingress interface. Firewall receiving this traffic on Ethernet 1/2, and it is sending that traffic out from Ethernet 1/2, means outside interface. That ping will also work from, if you want to ping from R5, R5 can also able to do the same thing. Repeat 100. See, ping is also working from R5. If this time you will hit that so session all, let me just pick this session ID. So these are the physical things which we use. So right now we are receiving traffic from 10.2. Like in DMZ interface, this is the IP address, this is destination IP, everything you will get here. Okay, so this is the RIP lab which we have configured in our setup. Okay, so if you have any doubts on this lab, you can let me know. So we have completed the lab on RIP. Now let me just remove the RIP from all these devices, and now I will just enable the OSPF. Okay, so what I will do, let me just start removing the RIP. So first I will go to into router 1, conft no router RIP. This command I need to run. Do right, ma'am. So this command, basically these two commands, so history. So let me copy these commands. This command basically disable the rep, and I'll go to into all my routers. In router 2 as well, conf t, no router rep. Then I'll go to into router 6, conf t, then router 3, conf t, then router 4, conf t, and I will disable the rep as well here. Then router 5, go to into config mode, and I'll just enable no router rep. Okay, so I have disabled the rep from all of my routers, and let me also disable the rep from my firewall. So what I will do, I'll go to into my firewall in network tab, virtual routers, in rep. I'll just delete these interfaces from rep, disable the rep, click on OK, and let me just commit my changes. So this is the way, and this is the way to disable the routing like RIP protocol from the file from all of my devices. Now let me quickly configure the OSPF. Okay, so I'll just open my GNS topology. I'll first go to into router 1. So I will go by one. Okay, for OSPF config as well. So to configure the OSPF, what I need to do, router OSPF, I need to define the process ID. So what I will take here, process ID 10. Okay, now I will define my network. So network is 10.1.1.0. Then I will use build Casma 0.0.0.255. Then area. So I will put all these routes on area 0. Okay. Because I'm not a routing guy, I will just go the basic routing steps only. Okay. Or what we can do, either we can put this particular network on area 0, this one on area 0, this one on area 1, and this one on area 2. Okay, we will go like this. Let's go like this. Okay, this one I will put on area 0. Let's put all these on area 0. This on area 0, we will put these ones on, this one on area 0, this one on area like 1 here, 2 here, 2 here. Okay, now network 10.1.2.0, then wildcard mask and area 0. Then I will use here 3.0, 10.1.4, 3.0. And I'll just hit the right memory. So I'm done with the R1 config. Let me also now go to on R3. Okay. On R3, what I will do, let me just close the R1 router OSPF. I will use the process ID 10. Then I will define network 10.2.2.0, then the wildcard mask and area 0. Then we have 10.2.1.0. So 10.2.1.0. Then we have 10.2.3.0. Yeah. So I have just, so right now I have enabled the OSPF on this interface, on this. I have enabled the OSPF on this interface, on this, and on this, right? What I will do, let me now configure the OSPF on my firewall as well. I'll go to into this one. Okay. I just go to into OSPF. I enable the OSPF. I'll give the router ID. So what happened? What I router I will give here router ID 10.1 dot. Let me give something different 10.10.10.10. Something different. Okay. It's a unique router ID. All routers in case of OSPF have the different router ID. Okay. Now here I will add area is 0.0.0.0, which means area 0 normal. Here I need to define my interfaces. Ethernet 1/2. I'll go with default. Everything is default. Okay. Then interface 1/3. 10.1.1.0/24. And here I will use 10.2.2.0/24. These are the only commands. These are the things which we need to do for OSPF config. And let me just commit and we will see. So commit is completed. Let me go there once again. Let me see if I'll have missed anything in OSPF. Yeah, area is this one, range is this one. Everything is correct. Okay.
So where do you get the pin, the pin?
These are the subnets. Okay. These are the net mask. These are the net mask 10.1.0/24, 10.2.2.0/24. These
Where,
are the IP address or IP range which I have configured on Ethernet 1/2 and Ethernet 1/3.
now when I know, what about the router ID? So,
Yeah, router ID is just a default router ID I'm using here. You can
oh,
just put any number, okay? You can put
okay,
any number,
got it.
but it must be kind of IP address, okay?
Okay,
Yeah. So if you click over there and if you see, so right now you are receiving few writes 10.1.3 via OSPF, right? And you are not receiving all the routes. What? Because we have not yet completed the routing. We have only enabled the routing between these ones, right? What I will do, I will go to into R2 and I will enable my rest of the routing. Go to into R2. What I will do, router OSPF process ID is 10. Okay, network 10.1.2.0 wildcard mask and area is 0. These ones like 10.1.4.0, 5.0, 6.0, I will put on area 1. Okay, area I will just put here area 1 and IP address is 10.1.4.0. Now 10.1.5.0, 10.1.6.0. So with this I have enabled the OSPF on R2. Let me just save my config. Same thing this time I will go to into R6 and I'll do the same thing. So let me just go to into R6. router, OSPF process ID is 10, network 10.1.3.0, 0.0.0.0.0.255, then area. So this interface, this one I will put on area 0, and these ones I will put on area 1. See, OSP agency is came up just now. This is the neighbor. Then we have here 7.0, 8.0, and 9.0. 8.0 and 9.0. Let me save my config. And if you want to see, so IP route OSPF. You are receiving these routes from OSPF, right? You are receiving 10.1.4.11, 5.6. These are the routes you are receiving, right? If you want to see all routes, you can run this command. If you ping here 10.1.4.11, you can able to also ping 5.11, or we can say 6.11. Ping is also working. So IP route. So you are receiving these particular routes from OSPF. If you go to into your Palo Alto, you will able to see these routes 10.1.7.0, 8.0, 9.0, or 4.0, 5.0, 6.0 on your Palo Alto firewall. If you go to into more runtime stats, see you are getting these routes like 5.11, 6, 7, 8, right? You are receiving these routes 8.11, 9.11. Okay. If you want to see the info on CLI, so you can run this console routing route hit. It will give you the overall routing table, the entire routing table. If you want to see the specific route, then you can use your type, then just select here OSPF. These are the route which you are receiving from OSPF. 10.1.8.11, right? If you want to ping, you can also able to ping these route. Ping source 10.1.1.250, and host is 10.1.5.11. See, ping is also working. But you are not receiving any route like 10.2. We can say 10.2.4.0 or 10.2.5.0, right? We are not receiving these routes on the firewall. And also, if you check your router R5, so IP route, it is not having any routes as well. And also this R2 is not receiving these routes. If I'll go to into R2 routing table, so IP route. See, R2 is also not receiving any route for this subnet 10.2.7.0 or 10.2.4.0, because we have not enabled routing on these two. So what I can do, let me just go and enable the routing on R4 and R5. So I'll just go to into R4 router OSPA process ID 10, network is 10.2.3.0, 0.0.0.255, and area is 0. Then area 1, this is R4, right? 10.2.1.0, I have to select. I have added wrong route, okay? What I can do, let me just remove it. This is the way to remove. And I'll just put here 10.2. There is a 1.0, right? See, adjacency also came up just now. Area 1 and 10.2.4.0. Then we have 5.0 and 6.0. 6.0. As soon as I have enabled the routing over there, it will receive all the routes. See, it is receiving the route for 10.1.4.0, and I can also ping to 10.1.4.11 or 5.11. So as soon as we have enabled the routing, this R4 receiving these routes. These are the routes which is behind the firewall inside interface. Okay. Now let me go to into R5 and do the same thing. I'll go to into R5 and quickly I will enable the OSPF on R5 as well. Conf T, so router OSPF 10 network 10.2.3.0 0.0.0.255 and area 0. Then area 1 and 10.2.7.0. Then we have 8.0 and 9.0. 8.0 and 9.0. And just right, ma'am. So IP route. Now we are receiving all the routes on this one. If I can ping to R6 10.1.7.11, ping will work, or 8.11, or R2 IP address 4.11. See, I am having all the routes right on the routing table. So IP route. You will see all the OSP routes for this subnet, for this one, for this one, for this one, like 10.2.10. Just filter by one, like 10.1.4. Then we have 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 8, 1.3. All these routes I am receiving on R5, right? So these routes is coming from this R2 send these routes to R1, R1 sends to Palo Alto, then Palo Alto send to this one, and this guy send to this one. And if you check your firewall, you will get this time you will see all of your routes. All the routes are there. And just use the CLI for checking all these details. See, these are the routes which you are receiving from OSPF. So there is around 18 routes for all these subnets. And in total, you are having around 25 routes on the firewall routing table. So just run so routing, then you can see other details, right? What you want to see, the protocol, then OSPF. In OSPF, what you need to see, like let's suppose you want to see what is the neighbor, you can see the details. So right now neighbor you are having 10.1.1.10 and other neighbor is 10.1.1 10.2.2.10, means this router and this router, these are your neighbors. Okay, and neighbors for R1 is Palo Alto firewall and R2 and R6. If you go to into R1, if you see here, so IP OSPF, if you hit here neighbor commands, just use here 10 neighbors, it will give these are the neighbors. Okay, so IP OSPF other states, if you want to see other details, you can see all these details here. Okay, like if you want to see the database, it will give you all the database, like all the SLAs and all, some DSLA, network SLA, router SLA, everything. Apart from this, if you want to see some other information regarding OSPF like summary, you can use this command, it will give you the summary details. If you want to see the details regarding area, you can see the area. Okay, so these are the details, and apart from this, what we can also check, We have checked the routing. We have seen the summary, right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's it. So this is our OSPF. But the thing is, we have not discussed one point on OSPF, which is if you go to into your R5 and if you run so IP route, it is not receiving any route for static, any default route. If he wants to ping to Google, ping will not work, right? So now let's see how we will basically do the, how we can advertise the static route inside this OSPF. What I can do, I'll go to into my firewall. I'll just go to into virtual router, go to into OSPF. In advanced, let me see, nothing is there. So I just select this allow redistribute of default route. Okay, go there. Let me just hit the commit. In most of the time, like in 90% cases, on the firewall, we always configure static routing. Just remember this point. We don't configure the dynamic routing like RIP or OSPF on the firewalls.
So
Okay. But
you just
if there is a requirement for configuration of these dynamic routing protocols, we can do that.
so so if you, when you do for your client, you just most of them just use static route from their firewall through the ISP. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you have the router behind the firewall. Do all the routing.
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
So still we are not receiving this one. So what? Let me see. So what we can do right now, our default route is not advertised. So what we can do, I have just disabled that option. I have disabled that option from this one. And what I can do, I just go to into my redistribution profile. Let me just create one redistribution profile. So I'll just give the name red to OSPF. Okay. And I'll give the priority. We can say 1. Okay. Now I'll select this one, redistribute. I'll select OSPF, outside interface, destination is 0.0.0.0 slash 0. Click OK, click OK. Let me hit the commit. So right now commit is going on. So we have to wait. Okay. So commit is succeeded. So what I can do, let me just see if I have received the, still I have not received the route. So let me just see what I can do. So the thing is, now we are going to redistribute the default route in the OSPF. So what we need to do, we just go to into redistribution profile. We need to create a redistribution profile. So I'll give this name, priority is 1. Just leave all these options default. Just define the interface and define the destination. So this is the route which we want to redistribute, and we have to select this option, redistribute. Only this thing we need to do with our redistribution profile. After come back from here, go to into your OSPF, click on this one in export routes, and here you need to call your redistribution profile like this. You have to call your redistribution profile, select which type of route you want, external one or external two. So I have selected external one and just leave it. This is the thing which we need to do for redistribution our routes. So after that, if I'll go to into my R5 and I'll hit the show route, show IP route, right now I can able to see one default route from which is I'm receiving from the OSPF. If I'll ping to Google, ping is working. Ping to 4.4.2, ping is working. Or if I'll want to, let me just try to ping to other IP address like Amazon. So ping host amazon.in. Let me just, so this is the IP address Amazon. So if I'll go into R5 and if I'll hit the ping to this Amazon IP address, see, I can able to reach to Amazon as well with a repeat count of 20 or 200, 220. So ping, continuous ping is going on, which means this is the way how we will redistribute the routes on OSPF. Okay. So if you have any doubts, then let me know. Otherwise, I'll just move into the static routing now. Because by end of the day, we always use static routing. So now I will add all the static routes on my firewall, and I will just delete the OSPF from all of my routers, and we will configure the static routes this time. Okay, so what I can do, let me just start removing the OSPF from all these routers. What I will do, no OSPF, no router OSPF 10. Do right, ma'am. Do show history. Let me just type this command. I'll just paste this command here. I will also write these three. I'll just copy and I'll go to into all the routers. Okay, on R2. Control A, Control C. R2 I have done. Let me go to into R6. On R6 I am done. R3 done. R4 done. R5 done. So I have just deleted the OSP from all of my routers. Let me also delete the OSP from my firewall. What I can do, I'll go to router. I'll just disable it. Let me just delete this one. Redistribution, I'll just go there. I'll just delete it. Okay. So let me go to into export route. Let me just delete. Let me commit my changes. So this is the way we will configure OSPF on the Palo Alto firewall. Okay. Now let me show you the static routing. Okay. So the thing is always what we can also do here, generally in real time, what we will do, we always use static routing first of all on the firewall. So what I can do, let me just enable the routing protocol here. Maybe in your LAN network you will use some kind of routing protocols. Maybe here I am having, let's suppose I'm using here RIP, and I am also using RIP here. Okay, but on this router and the firewall, I will put one default route. Same thing on this router, I will put one default route towards the firewall. And on my firewall, I will advertise all these routes. whatever inside routes I am having, I will just advertise on my firewall routing table. Okay, so what we will do, I will just enable a dynamic routing rip between these three routers or between these three routers, and on this router I will enable one default route towards the firewall, and also I will configure, I will just advertise this default route towards these other routers as well via routing protocol only. And on the firewall I will add the static route for all these subnets. Okay, so this is my next lab, and this kind of setup you will always get in your production environment. So that's why I am just going with this kind of setup. Okay, because most of the time you will have this kind of setup. What I will do, so first thing, I will just enable the routing between these. Okay, so on R1 I will start from R1. On R1 what I will do right now, if you see, do so IP route. I'm not having any routing protocol. I'm having only static route. So what I will do, first I will add one default route towards the firewall. IP route 0.0.0, 0.0.0, and firewall IP address 10.1.250. So I have added one default route on R1, right? Now let me enable the RIP for internal network router RIP version RIP, then version 2 network is, I will add this network 10.1.2.0 and 10.1.3.0, and I will use a no auto summary, and I will use this command originate default information. Originate, it will basically originate my, it will advertise the default route towards these guys as well. Okay, and I'll just hit the right ma'am. Now I'll go to into router 2. Router 2, what I will do to make this process quickly, what I will do, router rip version 2, sorry, router rip version 2 network, I will add all networks. Okay, and I will use here no auto summary. So IP route, this time if you see, I'm not receiving any route from RIP. What's going on? So run section router RIP, and if I'll go to into R1, let me see what is the routing table. So IP route. See, R1 is receiving the all the 10.1.6.0, 10.1.5.0, right? Okay, but the thing is, why it is not receiving one default route? Yeah, R2, it takes some time. Now it's got all the routes, right? And it is also getting the default route. So this time ping will not be, because on the firewall we don't have routes. Okay, so first I will enable the routing in my internal network. After it I'll go to into my firewall. Now let me just go into R6 and I'll do my routing config over there as well. In R6 router zip version 2 no auto summary network 0.0.0.0, and right ma'am. So it will take some time, and R6 also receive the route. So IP route, it will take some time in negotiation and all. Let me also save the config on this R2. Now I'll go to into my R3 router. I'll go to into R3 now, and in R3 what I will do, router. First I will add one default route. Right now I don't have any route, so IP route, if you see, only I have connected routes. IP route, I will add one default route 0.0.0.0, 0.0.0.0, 10.2.2.250. So I'll got the default route which is pointing towards my firewall. For internal network, I will just run the RIP version 2, no auto summary, network 10.2.1.0, 10.2.3.0. And this default information originate. We use this particular command to advertise the default route into this system, these firewalls as well. Okay, that's why we use this command, default information originate. Right, ma'am. Let me go to into R4 and do my config. So router RIP version 2, no auto summary, and network 0.0.0.0. And right, ma'am. Now let me go to into R5 and do the same thing. Router RIP version 2, no auto summary, and network is 0.0.0.0, and write memory. So we have done with the configuration on our these routers. So this time if I'll go to into R6, so this is my R6. If I'll check my routing table, so IP route, I'll have these routes, and I can also able to ping from R6. I can able to ping to router 2 routes, right? See, means I have internal connectivity between this segment, and let me also see if I'll got the internal connectivity between this segment as well. So let me go to into R5 and I will just check my routing. See, routing table is there. Let me ping to R4 subnet, which is 10.2.4.11. I am able to ping, or we can say 6.11. See, I'm able to ping means I have a connectivity between this segment as well. But there is no connectivity between these two segments. And also we are having default routes. So the thing is, so IP route, this default route, there is a connectivity between these two segments by a default route, but this firewall is not aware about these routes, right? He is not aware about all these routes. So what we can do, let me just add these particular routes on my firewall. What I will do, I'll go to into my firewall. Let me just delete the default one. I don't need that one because it will create some confusion. So I have deleted that default one. I have this VR01. Okay. I go to into a static route. In a static route, I am having one default route. Now let me add few more routes. Okay. So this time I will give the name LAN, and this time I will add 10.1.2.0 slash 24 like this. So this I'm adding the route for this subnet. And where is this subnet? 10.1.2.0 or 10.1.3.0 till 10.1.9.0, they all are behind this router, right? So next hop is 10.1.10 IP address of this interface, right? Because firewall, let me just explain you. If this is a Palo Alto firewall, if Palo Alto firewall wants to send any data to this subnet or this subnet, he will or will forward this data to this interface. And this interface having IP address 10.1.1.10 means this is the next hoop, right? Okay, so we will add this next hoop and we will add all these routes so on the firewall. So what I can do, let me go to into my firewall again. So this is my destination 10.1.2.0. Interface is my inside interface, and next hoop is 10.1.1.10 IP address of my router, internal router. Now to make this process a little bit quick, you can just clone this route. While cloning, just change the subnet, which is here you need to just change. This is the name, you can use any name, okay? But I always use some descriptive name. So this is for 10.3.0, and these little Ethernet interface and next hoop is similar for this route as well. I'll add. Let me just clone this one. So this will make our process a little bit quick. 4.0, 4, okay. Just clone it. Make it 5.0, 5.0, okay. Then we will add here now 6.0, then 6.0. This name should be unique, okay? Like two routes will not have same name, just remember this time. Then 6.0, let me just clone this one and I will make it as a like 7.0. Then I will also make it here 8.0. Sorry, not add, let me just clone it. 8.0, then 9.0. I have added all of my routes for inside. Okay, means inside for this subnets I have added. I have added the route for this subnet, for this one and this one, right? All this segment has been added on my firewall. Now let me add this segment as well, okay? So how I will add this one? I will go to into my firewall in a static route. Same thing. Go here. So this for this one I have given LAN. Now to this one I will give this name LAN DMZ or DMZ LAN. Okay, DMZ LAN 10.2.1.0 hyphen 24. This is the name, so basically it will denote it. This is the route, this is the actual route. Okay, like that's why I'll use this kind of names and all. I will select my DMZ interface. Next hop is 10.2.2.10. This is the IP address of this interface. IP address of this interface of a router R3. Okay. So I will also add here till 9. So I'll just clone it. I give here 10.2.3.0 because 10.2.2.0 we are having connected. It's a direct connected interface on the firewall. So 10.2.3.0, save, then just make it 4.0. then make it 5.0, then 6.0, then we have 7.0, then we will add 8.0, last is 9.0. So let me add 8.0 and let me clone, and this time I will add 9.0. If you see, I have added all the routes. So let me just expand this one little bit. So I have added 10.1.2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, 6.0, 7.0, 8.0, 9.0, right? So these all these routes has been added 1, 2 dot, 3 dot till 9.0, and for 10.2.1.0 till 9.0. So let me see this series has been added or not. So this is for 10.1, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All the routes has been added on the firewall. What? Let me now commit my changes. Okay. And or if this time, if I'll start pinging from R5 to R2 IP address, which is 10.1.4.11 with a repeat count of 100, ping will start working as soon as this commit will complete. So I'll go to into R5. Commit is stuck in 99%. Okay, commit is succeeded, but ping is still not working. Then we have to look what will be the issue. Okay, so 10.2.2.10, then okay. Why ping is not working for that one? Okay, no problem. So if I'll go to into which one? Let me just go to into R2. I'll go to into R2. If I'll see so IP route, it is receiving one static route which is from 10.1.2.10. Okay, so if I'll ping 10 dot ping 10.1.1.250, this is the firewall IP address. So I am not able to reach till my firewall IP address as well, which means there is some problem. So I will go to into R1. So let me just see what is the routing. So routing route. Okay, if you observe, I have selected wrong interface, Ethernet 1/1, right? If you, I'll go into my virtual routers,
one, two.
and if you see here in the next of next of fail, let me just see for this route. If I'll check this route, see, I have selected the wrong interface, Ethernet 1/1. This is my outside interface. Okay, so what I need to do, I need to correct it. I need to select Ethernet 1/2, and I need to just change the destination 10.1.2.0/24. It will, and this is my next door. What I need to go to into all these ins LAN routes, LAN 1, LAN 2, all these routes, and I need to correct them. Just copy. I'll change this interface with Ethernet 1/2. I need to put this route and this one. So these kind of mistakes we usually did when we configure these things on production as well. So when we configure these things, generally we have to see, we have to like take care of all these like manual mistakes or minor mistakes. This happens so many times. I did these mistakes when while I am working in production environment and all. So let me just correct. I will correct them quickly. So also this will like, if you do these kind of mistakes, definitely it will also like when you are facing any challenge that time, they will help you in troubleshooting. You can check all these basic stuffs. 7, then 8, then let me just go to into 9. Let me also change that one. And let me hit the commit, and let me go to into R5, and let me hit the continuous ping. See, as soon as like this commit will complete, ping will also start work. Ping is on, see, commit is on 75%. So just wait. See, commit is 90%, means it has been completed in a backend, and ping is also start working. Okay, so this is our static routing. So from R5, if I'll go to into my topology, from R5, if I can ping to 10.1.7.11, ping is working, or 8.11, ping is working, 9.11. This is the way we will do. If I'll ping 10.1.3.11, 3.11, ping will work. 3.11, see, ping is working, means I have a connectivity between these segments. And if from this firewall I can ping to Google, see, ping is working, means I can able to go to till the outside as well. See, ping is working. If I'll go to into my firewall, and this time if I hit this command, so routing route, let me just increase the size as well. See, these are the static routes which is behind this interface, and these are the route which is behind this interface. Okay, there is also one more command which we use for troubleshooting. There is a one command, test routing, then press the question mark. Always use fib lookup, then select your virtual router, which is VR01, an IP address. If you want to see where is this particular router is, where is this particular subnet, like 7 dot we can say 11, behind which interface, you can hit this command, so it will give you it is behind this interface. This command we use if we, because in the production firewalls you will see so many routes. So if you want to see the interface behind which interface this route is exist, you will use these commands. If you use 2.11, then it is behind this Ethernet 1/3. It's just take the single IP address like 10, or we can say 100. It is behind these interface. Okay. So this command people also use a lot in production to test the routing, if there is a route or not. Let me also test for this one, 8.8.8.8, because it's a public IP address, right? 8.8 is reachable with this interface. This is outside interface, so you can just run this command. You will get the zone. Zone is outside. Okay, if you want to see this particular 200.1.1.50, this is also public IP address. So this is basically taking your default route behind this interface. Okay, so this is your static routing, and this is the way we will configure static routing on the firewall.